Maya, you must be free as always, right? My mother-in-law and sister-in-law always push the care of their grandchild onto me without considering our plans, and they just go out. I felt anger building up inside me, and I was left behind at home. How selfish can these people be? I had plans to meet with a friend for the first time in a while. It's terrible that they look down on me just because I'm a housewife. I have to make sure they never take advantage of me again. My name is Maya. I met Hank through my best friend Laura, and we got married 2 years ago. I quit my job and now I'm a full-time housewife, but we don't have children yet. We've just moved into a new house a few months ago, and we are living peacefully. I love cooking and have been making elaborate dishes almost every day since we moved in. Meeting with Laura and her husband for a delicious meal and good drinks is our weekend delight. But at that time, I didn't realize that the hand of evil that would threaten our peaceful life was approaching.
It seems that my parents are getting a divorce.
One day, Hank told me with a downcast look. I had heard that they were not on good terms, but I didn't expect them to get divorced. My mother-in-law is a housewife, but she hardly does any housework and mostly orders takeouts or buys ready-made food. And she lives a selfish life of buying whatever she wants without resistance. And she lives a selfish life of buying whatever she wants without restraint. Even after my father-in-law retired, my mother-in-law's spending habits did not change. And despite my father-in-law's warnings to control her spending for the future, she never listened. In the end, my father-in-law got tired of it and filed for divorce. The family home was put up for sale, and my father-in-law moved far away. But it seems that my mother-in-law didn't want to leave her familiar surroundings and rented an apartment near her family home. A few weeks after the divorce, my sister-in-law also got divorced. According to the story, she had been cheating on her husband, and when he found out about it, he asked for a divorce. As a result, she moved in with her mother, with her daughter Sonia, who will soon be 3 years old. Unfortunately, these two disasters would end up affecting me.
Maya, can you come to my house now?
I was called out by my mother-in-law after a long time, and without suspecting anything, I headed to her apartment. But that was a mistake.
Oh, you finally came. You know, my back has been hurting for a while now. Can you do the laundry, cleaning, and also prepare lunch and dinner?
Just as I was surprised by my mother-in-law's sudden request, my sister-in-law Dixie, who lives with her, said this. I also work, so can you take care of my daughter Sonia too? And can you come a little earlier, starting from tomorrow? Ignoring me, my sister-in-law quickly left. My mother-in-law continued to lie on the couch watching TV. I couldn't quite digest the situation and ended up taking care of my niece and fulfilling my mother-in-law's demands. My sister-in-law came back after 6 p.m. that night. I was completely exhausted by the sudden role assignment to me that day. My sister-in-law had said to come a little earlier from tomorrow, but I never imagined if these days would continue every day from now on. A big sigh escaped me due to my depression.
Maya, what's wrong? You look tired.
Hank, my husband who came back from work, peered into my face and asked me worriedly. When I told him about today's events, he seemed surprised and apologized to me.
What? What are they thinking?
Yeah, I never thought they would ask me to do something like this. I thought about contacting you, but I didn't want to disturb your work. And
And also, I had no time to look at my phone because I was with Sonia.
Oh, I see. Anyway, I'll talk to Mom and Dixie about this, okay?
I felt relieved when Hank said that. I thought I could return to my usual life from tomorrow, and my depression quickly lifted. However, when I got out of the bath, Hank's face looked gloomy. I have a bad feeling about this. He noticed me and lowered his head apologetically.
I called Mom, but she ended up begging and crying on the phone, and Dixie started to get angry, saying she's struggling with work and raising Sonia.
I could guess where this was going. Hank continued.
So, Maya, I'm really sorry to ask, but can you take care of Sonia until they find a daycare for her?
I could see the fatigue on Hank's face. Seeing him like that, I felt like I had no choice but to help him. I decided to accept the offer. For the next few months, I continued to go to my mother-in-law's house. My sister-in-law would drop Sonia off without a care in the world. And my mother-in-law seemed as healthy as ever, making me wonder if her back was really hurting in the first place. What I hated the most was how they looked down on me as a stay-at-home wife. The only comfort I had was that Sonia had grown attached to me. One day, Hank was invited by the company president to play golf, and we had plans to have dinner with Lola and her husband. I was excited to buy ingredients to cook a nice meal for the weekend with good friends. When I returned home, to my surprise, my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and Sonia were waiting at the entrance.
Hey, Maya. Where have you been? You kept us waiting for so long.
My sister-in-law shouted at me as soon as she saw me. What's going on? I was surprised by their sudden visit, especially since it was a holiday, and my husband was out. It seemed like they had come to our house when he wasn't around. Just open the door already. My mother-in-law rushed me and entered the house without permission. Then my sister-in-law spoke up.
We were planning to enjoy the holiday today. You're probably free, right, Maya? I have something to do and Mom is having lunch with her friends. So we're leaving Sonia in your care, okay?
After finishing some snacks, they left Sonia with me and went out. Taking care of Sonia while preparing dinner would be difficult. I reluctantly canceled my plan with Lola and felt sad and angry while cleaning up the ingredients I had bought. Why were they so selfish? Ever since I started going to my in-laws' house, my household chores doubled. Taking care of the child also doubled my physical strength. On weekends, I was often too tired to keep my promise with Lola. Despite all this, I had finally arranged to meet Lola after several months. But now this had happened. I couldn't calm down my irritation, but I managed to take care of Sonia somehow. When Hank returned in the evening, he was surprised to see Sonia.
I'm home. Huh. Why is Sonia here?
Shh. She just fell asleep, so be quiet. Hank put his hands over his mouth and apologized quietly. You know, when I came back from shopping, your mom and sister were waiting for me at the entrance. And they left and abandoned Sonia here. I was planning to cook a lot today since Laura and her husband were coming over, but I had to cancel on them. I was looking forward to it. Such a bummer. I vented my anger to him, and Hank also exploded with anger.
The director of the nursery was at the golf club today, you know?
Huh. Wasn't your sister making a fuss because she got rejected from the nursery?
Yeah. But the nursery is now admitting children, and they haven't rejected anyone in the past few months.
What does that mean?
It means that Dixie never even applied to the nursery. We were completely fooled.
In the end, the mother-in-law and sister-in-law returned after 7 p.m. Sonia couldn't help but fall asleep on the sofa.
What are you guys doing until this late? We agreed to help take care of Sonia only on weekdays until the nursery was arranged. Because Mom, you said you couldn't take care of her because your back pain. And yet, you were pushing Sonia onto us even on weekends. What are you thinking?
The usually gentle Hank was angry, so they were clearly intimidated.
Oh, Hank, are you back?
Hank? This is just a misunderstanding. Maya said she would take care of Sonia, so I never said anything like that. I shouted out without hesitation, and Hank continued.
Dixie, fill out this application right here and now.
The documents Hank took out were for the entrance procedures of the nursery. It seemed like my sister-in-law finally realized that everything was exposed in his angry gaze. She snapped and started to get angry, her face turning bright red. Maya doesn't have anything else to do, so it's fine for her to take care of her niece. It's not fair that she lives comfortably in a house as a full-time housewife.
Huh. So this is her true nature, I thought to myself.
My sister-in-law trembled, either because she was embarrassed that our wrongdoing was exposed, or because she was too jealous of me. Hank was about to get angry again with her response.
If you were going to be that irresponsible, then I would cut ties with you.
Unexpectedly, it was my mother-in-law who intervened to mediate.
Now, let's listen to what Hank has to say. We're also at fault, weren't we?
Hank responded mercilessly with a loud voice to his mother.
Mom, you're really lying about your back pain, aren't you? You seem to have enough energy to move around. So why don't you work a little?
My mother-in-law scolded, shrugged her shoulders, and next to her, my sister-in-law, who had given up, began writing the documents that Hank had given her. Here, I filled it out. Happy? She said, slamming the finished documents on the desk, and they all left. Soon after, it was decided that my niece would start attending the nursery the following month. Thanks to that, I was able to return to my normal daily life and have dinner with Laura and her husband. It was around that time that my husband's transfer to Seattle came up suddenly. I was lost in thought, thinking that it was going to be busy with the move to Seattle. 3 months later, I received a late-night phone call, and it was my sister-in-law on a video call. I was confused when I saw the background on the screen. My sister-in-law, Dixie, greeted me with a loud, annoying voice. Hey, Maya, can you come back home soon? I still couldn't quite understand what was happening. And then, there was a loud crash on the other end of the line. Oops, sorry about that. Looks like Sonia broke a vase in the living room. But since it was your precious niece, you'll forgive her, won't you? And she held up the broken vase to show it to the screen.
Wait, are you guys really in that house right now?
Yeah, it's been a while since we last visited.
I mean, how did you get into the house?
Well, I borrowed the key and made a spare last time I was here.
I couldn't believe that they had gone to such length. I blamed myself for not realizing that my keys had been stolen.
It's been a while since we last visited your house, and it seems like Sonia's getting too excited. Come to think of it, we didn't have this vase before, did we? Oh, is it new? I'm sorry she broke it so soon. As she apologized, it was evident that she didn't feel remorseful at all.
Please, leave. Right now.
Well, I can't do that. After all, we came here to get some money from you.
Money? I exclaimed in surprise at my sister-in-law's words.
If Sonia asked you for money, you wouldn't be able to refuse, right?
At that moment, Sonia appeared on the screen. I could see my mother-in-law, who was standing next to her, whispering, "Say it as we rehearsed," in a low voice.
Auntie Maya, Sonia wants an allowance.
Sonia looked at me with tears in her eyes, and she muttered in a barely audible voice. Seeing her like that, my fist trembled with anger. How could they ask a small child for money like this? My sister-in-law provocatively called out to me again.
See? This is what Sonia is saying. So please give us some money. By the way, where are you right now? Hurry up and come back.
I'm in Seattle.
What? Seattle?
Yes, so I can't lend you any money. Both my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law burst out laughing at my words.
What a joke! That's not funny at all. If you don't want to give us money, how about giving us some of these Louis Vuitton bags you have stored in your closet?
As she said that, my sister-in-law showed me the closet. I shouted out immediately, "No! Absolutely do not touch them! Those aren't my stuff!" However, my advice fell on deaf ears as they continued to search for brand name goods one after another.
And if it wasn't yours, then whose was it? You think I'd be fooled by such a lie?
No, it's all mine.
Huh? Who are you?
Standing there was Lola. The truth is, my husband and I had moved to Seattle as planned due to his transfer. We kept it a secret from my in-laws to avoid any complications. During our relocation, Laura's family agreed to live in that house, but the key exchange didn't happen due to the sudden move. I asked Hank to contact Lola and told her to call the police right away. After talking to my husband, Lola told my mother-in-law and sister-in-law the following. "The police will be here soon. We will sue you for illegal entry and property damage." Their faces turned pale instantly. "Maya, what does this mean? You're lying about the police, right?" "No, not lying. I warned you not to touch it because it's not mine." My mother-in-law opened her eyes wide and started blaming my sister-in-law instead. "It's all your fault, Dixie. I never intended for this to happen."
Hey, Mom! You were the one to come up with the idea of asking for money. I never thought of that myself.
It's all your fault. As an ugly argument began, Hank took my phone from me. "Enough already. Shame on you both. You shamelessly make a young child beg for money. How could you do something so despicable? I'm cutting ties with you. Got it?" "Wait, Hank, hold on a sec." As my mother-in-law pleaded for mercy, he ignored her and handed me the phone. Then Sonia spoke up, trembling.
Auntie Maya, I'm sorry. I don't need allowance. So please don't hate me.
Her tearful confession left me with a heavy heart. I could never forgive them for causing such distress to an innocent child. "Sonia, we won't hate you. You don't have to worry about that." I spoke in a gentle voice to comfort her. "What you did is not forgivable. We have no intention of helping you in any way. As Hank said, we'll be cutting ties with you. Goodbye." Afterward, the police arrived and arrested the two of them.
Sonia was taken into protective custody and handed over to her father. I plan to visiting her when I return home. My sister-in-law and mother-in-law were left with a large debt due to the compensation they had to pay for their wrongdoing, as well as unpaid rent and credit card bills. After taken in by the police, they both worked tirelessly from morning until night. Meanwhile, Hank's excellent work at the company led to her decision to stay in Seattle permanently. I pursued my passion for cooking and opened a small restaurant. Lola and her husband plan to visit us during the grand opening. I'm looking forward to a new life and reuniting with my best friends.
It's 2 a.m. in the middle of the night. My phone beeps and glows. Babe, I can't live without you. Hey, it's dark in front of me. My heart is in pain. Am I screwed up already? Hey, I'm in the other world now. The constant WhatsApp notifications and scary messages. I was dismayed that the other world was within range of my phone. I was also disgusted with myself for dating such a man. Hi, I'm Jenny. I've been longing for a job since I was a little girl. I am 27 years old, working hard every day. My friends are starting to get married here and there, but I still enjoy spending time and money for myself. I have a boyfriend, George, whom I have been dating for a year. We have been friends for a long time at our university. I was surprised when he suddenly confessed his feelings for me last year. But he is refreshing and has a sincere personality, so I accepted it willingly. I gladly accepted. He must know that I am a workaholic. I was hoping that he would support me to work hard. However, this man was the type who would change once we become lovers. One Wednesday, I was dragging my exhausted body after a hard day's work. I boarded the train on the opposite platform from my house. I headed for his apartment. As soon as I rang the intercom, he opened the door with a rush.
Jenny, you're late. I missed you.
I lightly push aside the 27-year-old man who tries to mimic crying at the doorway and enter the room. I told you, I was going to be late due to a meeting today.
I miss you, you know?
Yes.
Jenny, that was cold. You used to be so nice to me.
Really? I brush off his dissatisfied expression as he puffs out his cheeks. I heat up the half-price sticker lunchbox I bought at the supermarket in the microwave. Although he came home first and called me over, he doesn't even make me a cup of tea. Listening to him babbling on and on, I ate my meal, put the garbage away in a plastic bag, and got up.
What? You're leaving already?
I have work tomorrow.
Oh, I'll miss you. Why don't you just stay?
It's a long way from work. I'll come visit you again this weekend.
Huh?
I almost let out a sigh at the man pouting his lips. I miss you, I miss you, I miss you. It's all he keeps saying. I mean, I miss you too, because you insist on seeing me. I came to his apartment in the middle of the week in the opposite direction from my own house. He doesn't even know how I feel, and he stares up at me with staring eyes. And then he says the usual line.
I know. We should get married soon and live together, don't you think?
Good night. I said a quick goodbye to him and covered his lines. I left the room as if to run away. As a friend, he was honest and straightforward. But as soon as we became lovers, he turned into a spoiled, dependent type. Daily good morning, I'm on my lunch break with a picture of his meal. I'm back home. Message is a matter of course. At bedtime, I'm lonely to go to bed alone. He expects me to call him until he falls asleep. On weekends, of course, he is all over me. And when I try to go home on Sunday night, he stops me with crying. I can understand if we are just getting to know each other. Does he really love me that much? Some woman might be like, oh my god, he loves me so much. But I went out with him in the first place because I thought he was easygoing. I I had no way of knowing that he would be so attached to me at all hours of the day. And it had been like this for the entire year we had been dating. Furthermore, while I was staying at his apartment, he forced me to do all the housework. In fact, he doesn't even vacuum on weekdays because I do it on weekends. The garbage from his lunch boxes and cup noodles that he would have eaten for dinner, the trash are piled up in the sink for the whole week. He puts all this on me, leaning on me like that, which made me exhausted both physically and mentally. While he could sense my exhaustion and frustration, he has no idea what's wrong with him, just because he was lonely, and just because he wants to hold on to me. He says, "Let's get married," right off the hook. Recently, he asked me, if we have a baby, can we be together forever? He started to say such a disturbing thing. A child with him is outrageous. This man is like a big baby. I've known him as a friend for a long time, so I have sentimental feelings for him. We have a lot of mutual acquaintances, so it's a little awkward to break up with him. Moreover, his outward appearance is fresh and good looking, so people like him. If I make a bad move, I might become the bad guy and people might not like me. Still, I can't think of marrying him because I can't stand him. I began to think seriously about breaking up with him. One day out of the blue, I received a message from him saying,
I have something important to tell you.
"Is he seriously going to propose to me? Or did he finally run out of love with me, the cold, workaholic person I am?" I feel bad that I hope it's the latter. Depending on what he said, I decided to break up with him and arranged to meet with him. The day of our agreement, at the coffee shop where we were meeting, what came out of his mouth were unexpected words.
I have cancer.
What? I was stunned by what I had not imagined at all. Is it bad? When I asked him fearfully, he nodded his head while trembling.
If I have an operation, it might be cured. But if it fails, I will probably have 6 months remaining.
Oh no. The word life remaining made the blood in my head drop suddenly. I don't know what to say to him. He smiled brightly at me as if he feared for me.
I'm sorry. You're busy and I have to talk to you about this.
Don't worry about me. I'm just worried about you.
Thank you. You're really kind.
That's not true. No, that's not true at all. Because I've been thinking about breaking up with you because your love was too heavy for me. Without even noticing that you were sick. He holds my hand with a serious face.
I'm such a pathetic person, but will you support me? Even the doctors have said it. He says that if I have hope to live, I might be able to overcome this. You are the most important person in the world to me.
George.
When I get better, will you marry me?
What?
You don't have to answer me right now. I'll wait for your answer.
With that, he patted my head and left the restaurant before I could. I was left with the words "the rest of my life" and marriage. I couldn't get up. For the next half month, all I could think about was him. I thought I was having such a bad time that I wanted to break up with him. I only remembered the good times. If he only had a few days left to live, I want to support him until the end. I want to do what I can if my existence is the source of life for him. But when he asks me to marry him, I hesitate. Even if he sensed it, would I be able to spend the rest of my life with him? Is that what I want for my life? I cry every day with anxiety, sadness, and hesitation. I was unable to come up with an answer. At that time, I happened to run into his mother at the train station. He used to take me to his parents' house often, so I knew his mother well. "Oh, Jenny, it's been a while." "Hi, ma'am." Seeing her talking to me with a nice friendly smile, I felt a squeeze in my chest. If her son goes ahead of her, such a smile will fade away. I felt sick to my stomach. And with that momentum, I bowed deeply to his mother. "Ma'am, please let me marry George." "What?" She rolled her eyes. Of course, if someone suddenly asks you to let her marry your son in front of a train station, you can't help but be puzzled. She could not help but be perplexed. So I said my thoughts as best as I could. Even if George has only 6 months left to live, I want to support him as his wife until the end.
What?
I will study about the disease and do my best to be useful, so...
Oh, wait a minute. What are you talking about?
What?
What do you mean George has only 6 months to live?
What? What? It was my turn to open my eyes at her words. Confused, I told her what he had told me about his illness. She sighed deeply, holding her head.
I'm sorry, Jenny. That's just his crazy story.
Huh?
He's been trying to get people's attention for a long time, making exaggerated pleas for something that wasn't even a serious illness. Even though he's not even very sick, he's always used a fake illness. I can't believe he still does that now that he's grown up.
No way, but...
The fact that I don't know about George's illness is proof of that. There's no way he wouldn't have told us, given his personality.
What? No way. Then what's the point of me crying for the past half months?
Jenny.
She has just exposed her son's lie. She drops her gaze apologetically. His illness and 6 months to live are all lies. Probably a way to get my attention and get me to marry him. Anger welled up in my head as I realized the situation. I had cried out in distress, and I had offered to marry him with a determination to devote my life to him. All of it was to satisfy that man's selfish desires. Disgusting. 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 Of course, there was no way I would marry such a scumbag. Any remaining feelings I had for him were completely gone. I resolved to cut him off mercilessly, but there was still a chance that he would make me look bad. So I asked his mother to keep quiet about his lies and to enlist the cooperation of those around him. A week later, I visited him at his apartment.
Jenny, I'm so glad you came.
He greets me with a weak smile and voice. I'm already sick of just seeing that face that has won me over with its auspiciousness. In my mind, I'm doing him a favor. He is smirking at me for accepting his proposal, but that charade and our relationship will end today.
You look better than I thought you would.
He froze when he saw the big guy who had just popped up from next to me.
Tom? Oh, what are you doing here? That's my line. I told you to come to me first when you get sick, didn't I?
Tom, me, and George went to school together. He has a lot of willpower in his family. He himself is a firefighter who wants to use his muscles to his advantage.
I'm glad she asked for my advice. I took full advantage of my connections and asked her to see me at the university hospital where my dad is. I asked that they see you as a second opinion. Let's go there now. Ugh.
Leaving Tom to deal with the sudden turn of events, I left the room. Let's hold out hope until the end. I'll support you too.
Well, how about the marriage then? Let's go. No, I'm fine. Don't be afraid, you're a jerk to be shy to me. Oh no, that's not what I meant.
George was squirming and resisting. But he was no match for Tom's straightforward personality, energy, and strength. He was taken to the hospital to be tested for a cancer that never existed. The test results were, of course, healthy. Normally, I would have hugged him with tears in my eyes and said, "I'm so happy for you." This time, however, things were different. The hospital he went to had misdiagnosed his condition. When the doctor asked him for the name of the hospital, there was no way he could answer the question. Tom easily found out his lie. Of course, he had to force Tom's father in the hospital to make arrangements for him to see a doctor. Tom, who had arranged the medical examination, was furious. I got Tom a viewpoint and witness, and bullishly accused him of lying. After being pursued by me and Tom, he opened up. and said what I expected him to say.
Because Jenny won't marry me.
He answers like a spoiled child. Tom, who knew only the surface of his health and well-being, opened his mouth. I tugged at him and told him, "Let's break up now. I absolutely detest to be married to you."
Why? It's just a cute little lie. When I told you I didn't have long to live, you loved me so much that you decided to marry me. And now that I'm alive and well, you should be relieved.
The only reason I bothered to consider marrying you was because I felt sorry for you and your family. And even then, I was lost in that stupid lie. It's more like a downside. I have nothing but disgust for you.
No, you don't.
You keep coddling me, and to top it all off, you tell lies that are so appalling. How could I ever want to be married to someone like you? I said in a sub-zero voice, and he finally seemed to understand the situation. Then he burst into tears and cried out,
No, 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 no. I refuse to even break up with you, Jenny. Wah.
The big man was doing everything he could to get out of his misery. Tom, the big muscular guy, is backing away. I was a little relieved to see that this was still a bizarre sight. I pushed Tom off his back, unable to take my eyes off the strange man, and we walk out of the apartment. George, noticing that I was not at all distracted, rushes over to me.
Wait, Jenny. See, I can't live without you.
That's another lie, right?
No, it's not.
Once you tell a flat-out lie, you'll never be trusted again. Goodbye.
Whoa.
I left George bawling like a howling wolf. I closed the door to his apartment. Thus, I had finally parted with the man who looked like a baby crying old man. Tom, who had cooperated with me, he explained in detail to the people around me why I had broken up with George. Most of my friends began to show up for me. Some of my friends tilted their heads and said, "That's enough lying." I showed them a video I had secretly saved of him being a spoiled brat, and they shut up. One of them was a female friend of George's. She's not a bad person, but she is very light-mouthed. She spread the facts as they were within her small industry. He was the guy who forced her to marry him by falsely claiming he only had 6 months to live. He lost credibility as a member of society and as a human being. He was a good-looking guy on the outside, hence the gap between the two. People seemed to have been turned off by him. Of course, George is not convinced otherwise. Immediately after our breakup, he sent me messages every day to the point that my phone was about to go flat. From poems begging me to come back, to the kind of thing that a child would report to his mother about the day's events. I can get through those though. The most exhausting are the lines from the other side of the world that come in the middle of the night. Mostly it's because I can't live in a world without Jenny. Jenny, I can't breathe. It's dark in front of me. Help me, Jenny. It seems I've come to the other side. This is how it ends. I'm a little moved by the possibility. However, the last line made me lose my mind. And then, he who should have gone to the other world. The next day, he sends me a normal message as usual. It's crazy, even insane. Once, "I am George's mother" came from his message. "My son is very sick and waiting for you, Jenny, in the hospital room." I received a message saying, "I'm sorry, I took the plunge and contacted his real mother." And when his mother visited his room, he was lying on his bed watching TV and laughing. After that, he told me that he would never lie to me again. So, I got a message from him asking me not to tell his parents. Apparently, he was stiffed by his strict father. I think blocking his contacts will solve the problem. But it is not such an easy problem. I am afraid that if I cut off contact with him, he will retaliate in a panic. It is difficult to find the right timing. Of course, after I broke up with him, I did not go home. I have been staying at a friend's house. I can't stay there for long though. It was right around that time that the company was talking about launching a new messenger. I took the initiative and raised my hand to take the case. I packed up my apartment and got on the train to the new location. I blocked his contact number. Thus, I was able to disassociate myself from that foolish and pathetic man. 5 years later, I am now 33 years old and still working as hard as ever. But on my left right finger is a platinum ring, a ring which I didn't have back then. Actually, 6 months ago, I got married to a colleague from my office. My husband was attracted to the way I seemed to enjoy my work. He promised to support me, so that I could continue working after marriage. We both share the household chores, so there are no major burden that interferes with my work. We have also decided to work together to raise our children. Friends who work with George occasionally report his dire situation. He has lost his credibility and his work is not going well. Apparently, even when he gets a new girlfriend, he is quickly dumped. Even at 27, he's in pain, but he's now a 33-year-old man. It would be an even worse sight if a 33-year-old guy was turning into a baby. And he seems to be constantly looking for me saying,
I'm sure Jenny will return.
And he seems to be looking for me. And he's saying Jenny is just being mean. He says that someone should tell me that George is not mad at me and to come home. And apparently he's also having horrible delusions of being a good guy. Of course, there is no way my friends will help him with that. Instead, they get angry and just leave him on his own. I am so glad that I kept the people around me on my side. And he is a very lonely person. He must be very much distressed by his loneliness. Relationships between lovers and married couples that only depend on one person for support will be exhausted and will fail. So he closes his eyes to the unpleasant aspects of the relationship. I'm so glad I wasn't carried away. I am very glad that I did not decide to get married. I met my husband, who is the most understanding and supportive person. I was able to have a family while continuing to do the work I love. I truly feel happy from the bottom of my heart.